な間違いないって言ってたし。お兄ちゃん、会いたかった。
ルーデウス、久しぶりだな。
はい、お久しぶりです、ルイジェルドさん。
Ruger showing up. Yo, that's got to be the coolest moment this season in Mushoku Tensei is Ruger kind of coming back this season. Like, that's hella cool. Look, I was not expecting, like, when they talked about somebody, you know, taking Norn and taking Aisha back and, you know, taking them to Rudy, my first thought was the dude that he met in the Beast Village that he was incarcerated with, who's friends with Paul, you know, the guy who went out with the black nails. I forget what his name was, but that's who I thought was going to be bringing them back. Or I was like, oh, my baby girl Roxy. But obviously Roxy was part of the party that's going to go after Zenith. So I was like, okay, that makes total sense that it wouldn't be Roxy yet. Unfortunately, because all I want in this world is my baby girl Roxy to come back into the picture here. But at least I got to see her this episode. But Ruger was not one that I was expecting at all. I wonder where he's been these past couple of years. I wonder what he's experienced. I wonder how he's done kind of like in like getting the name of the superb people out there. And like, I just wonder how he's been. Like, it's really awesome to see. And of course, now we're going to get to see that dynamic between Norn and between Aisha and between Rudy. I think that's such a cool thing for his sisters to come in here and for him specifically to be able to get closer to Norn, but honestly for him to be able to get closer to both of them, because yeah, he did have that little stint with Aisha and Aisha views him, you know, in a certain way, in a certain light. But again, that's very much based off of what she heard before and then her personal experience with him. But Norn, on the other hand, her experience with him is minuscule, and it really is only him beating Paul's ass. That's kind of like the main thing, and her hatred towards somebody, you know, having that anger to her idol and the person that matters the most in the world, which is Paul. So he's gonna have a lot of, not development, but a lot of makeup time with both of them. And I think it's going to be really cool to be able to see Rudy get closer to his sisters, because obviously at the end of the day, nothing matters more, you know, than family. And at the end of the day, too, he kind of messed up that, you know, he kind of messed up the pooch with Norn. So now he gets to kind of make that up. And then in his past life, he totally messed up his entire life from top to bottom. So being able to see him actually make up for that time here is going to be really, really cool. All right. Outside of that, I love the Norn stuff. I love the Aisha stuff. I love that Ruger is back in the picture. For how long, I don't know, but regardless, even for a little bit, it's going to be cool to see. He's going to be able to get to spar with him again and get to hear his stories, and he has this really huge house. He's going to be able to not only have his sisters, but maybe have Ruger stay here, maybe have Nanahoshi stay here. You know, he has a mansion worth of house, so he's going to be able to, you know, facilitate a lot of folks in his home. And as he talked here, eventually, you know, hopefully Paul, hopefully Zenith, you know, hopefully kind of like everybody that matters to him, hopefully Roxy, later down the line, Eris, when she figures her shit out, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be really cool to see. All right. Awesome 10 out of 10 episode. If you stop the video right here, like, this episode was just fire from top to bottom. Absolutely amazing. Loved every moment of this episode. Okay, now let's transition to Nanahoshi, because I did not think that when we came into this week's episode and with him receiving the letter at the beginning of the episode, I very much thought this episode was going to transition and focus in on just Norn and just Aisha, you know, coming in to visit and, you know, getting them set up and everything that encompasses that too. And he started the episode with talking to Sylphie about his sisters coming to stay with him and stuff. And he talked about, you know, he read the letter, which talked about how Paul found a lead on Zenith and how he's leading a party out with all the adults. And it showed the girls that were with him. It showed Roxy, you know what I mean? It showed a big party, but he's like, I'm going to send your sisters to you. So it started off with that. So I thought the whole episode was going to be about that. So when it transitioned into being about Nanahoshi and her failed experiments of trying to summon something, right? Like, she's just trying to summon, you know, this little knife, trying to summon anything from Japan here. And she failed, and Rudy really didn't know how to handle that. But he was like, oh, it seems like she's okay. And the whole time, like, I was internally screaming, like, Rudy, she's not okay, bro. Like, go hug her. Like, I know that that's not innately in him. And, we know that that's not his character. But, like, I would have loved to see him show, like, friendly empathy towards the only other person that's from where he's from. So I was like the whole time I was like, bro, go, like, please, like, just go hug her and tell her, like, things are gonna be okay. We'll try again. I'm here. Continue to try and figure out this magic diagram. Like, just like go hug her. Like, she needed, I think, in more than anything at that moment, like, she needed like a hug, because obviously when he was like, oh, I think she'll be okay, bro stepped away. He's like, all right, I'm gonna see you later. She flipped. Like, he wasn't like, it caught him so off guard, because like she lost it, right? Because you can imagine failure. And there, we have Rudy, who got, reborn into this world, and the way that he took it as a second opportunity at life and stuff. And we see, as I'm sure Nanahoshi is familiar with, a lot of stories that involve someone being transported to another world and them taking it as this, like, new opportunity of life and stuff. And for Nanahoshi specifically, she's kind of in that potential ballpark. But her unique situation is that she can't age. And for some, that might be like, an awesome thing. Like, oh, let me go start in this new world. Let me just go, balls to the wall, and let me get the second chance at life. And I don't have to worry about aging and these normalcy things that, people have to deal with. A lot of folks could take that as like a huge net positive. But for her, it's not only being transported to this world. It's like, I don't want to be here. All I want to do is go back and live my life. And she has not let that go for however many odd years she's been here so far. It's something that she has not let go of. And the not being able to age and the stuff that's restricting her here is not seen as a positive to her. It's seen as like a huge negative. So it's not only can she not return to her world, she can't live in her mind this fallacy of what would be considered a normal life to age and die. You know what I mean? Like, and in the traditional fashion. So like, she's all effed up, and she loses it. And Rudy's like, I don't know how to handle this. And, he ends up taking her back to his house, and he tries to get her out of the depressiveness. And he's like, you want potato chips, bro? Like, like, he doesn't really, Rudy struggles with knowing how to handle a lot of emotions just because of how closed off he put himself in his past world. But then when, his experiences in this world, a lot of them are new to him. So, struggling to handle someone's depression, although he's been depressed himself, is where do you come from with that? So I really love to see him struggle through all those emotions. I think that that's something that's really, really cool to see. He struggled through finding that, and he landed on, okay, I can't directly impact her and get her out, but what I can do is help where she was trying to go. So he calls upon Cliff, he calls upon Xanaba, Elena Lee's, all of them. He's like, hey, look at these diagrams. And, of course, Xanaba comes clutch. He's like, well, the dolls, they don't just have one magic, they have layers of circles that they're basically all intertwined, connected circles. So basically not seeing it on 2D, but seeing it like 3D, like seeing it multiple layers that are all connected with each other. And, they end up working together, and they show it to Nanahoshi, and something clicks. She's like, fuck. She's like, I've been thinking about it. So, 2-dimensional. It's actually 3-dimensional. I could have pop, 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 pop. And I love to see at the end that they finally succeeded. And she was able to, get a water bottle from Japan. But I mean, hey, a fucking water bottle. She's like, yo, I can go summon anything now with intent. And, that's restarted her, reinvigorated her. And she shares a really cool moment of, drinking some wine or beer, whatever they're drinking at the end. And that camaraderie with friends. Like, I think that's what's really important for her. It's like, let's say she can never leave here. having these kinds of moments of successes and celebrations with your friends, with Rudy, and with the folks that matter. Like, I think that could be the thing that kind of gets her turned around. And it could take decades. It could take years. It could take months. It could take decades. If she continues not to have major success to literally transport herself back. Because the other thing she has to consider too, and I'll leave off on this, is what are you being transported to? Like, Rudy's been here for 16, years or whatever it is already. So it's like, okay, would you be transporting yourself back in time to the point of which you left? Or would you be transporting yourself 16 years or however many odd years into the future? Or how does time even pass between two different realms, between two different worlds that are, not, barely connected? It's like, does a lot more time pass? So she could be going back to her world, but at which point in time? The things that she wants to go back to, the family, the people that matter, could all be gone. It's like you don't even know. So it's like, that's a whole lot to deal with. So I love that this episode explored it. 10 out of 10 from Mushoku Tensei, as always. But this episode knocked it out the park and gave me something that I didn't know I wanted. And it nailed it. And I love diving deeper into Nanahoshi. So anyways, my friends, I'm going to see you guys next week for episode number 4. I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll see you next week. Peace.